What's up, everyone? I'm Chase Beacott, Senior Editor at Operation Sports, and today I want to talk to you about MLB The Show's Diamond Dynasty mode. Diamond Dynasty has been a revelation of sorts for many folks this year. As someone who is a longtime player of all these Build-A-Team modes, I've actually been surprised by how sucked in I've even gotten. At its core, Diamond Dynasty is a really ingenious take on the fantasy team concept, as it really does differentiate itself from the likes of NBA 2K's My Team mode and EA Sports' Ultimate Team modes. It does that in large part by distilling itself to the core concept of the mode: buy and sell cards, build a lineup, and play games. In short, the mode strips away the extras and tries to get people playing games and playing the marketplace with not many distractions in between. But for as good as Diamond Dynasty has become this year, there's still elements that hold it back at times, and that's what we're going to look at here. First up are the random loading times. These are those moments that usually take place as you're messing around in the marketplace or looking through your collections. I don't know why these loading times crop up, but I assume it has something to do with the online servers being overloaded at that exact moment or some other technical reason. Whatever the case may be, these random loading hangs can actually take up a sizable chunk of time. The one we're looking at right now is sped up, but it lasts just under 2 minutes before I'm finally given a server error message. And 2 minutes might not seem like a long time in a vacuum, but in a mode like this where it can happen multiple times over the span of a half hour, and you can't do anything when it happens, that time can add up. In that same vein, challenge failed errors are also quite annoying at times. Again, Diamond Dynasty is a mode based on streamlining the process of playing games. You can't really play friends or do tournaments, so you just either play a CPU MLB team, a random CPU Diamond Dynasty team, or a random user. Presumably it's designed this way so you don't have to think about doing much more than pressing X to start up a game. However, much like loading times that hang, challenge failed errors present the same problem. People just want to play games, but there's many times where the process can be slowed up 1, 2, even 3 or 4 times before a match finally connects. The process can be slowed down further because users have 3 more screens to get through before getting to a game. The starting pitcher screen, which is completely random, so seems to serve no purpose. The lineup screen, which is useful but would be useless if people could set up a left-handed and right-handed pitching lineup in the menu before a game. And then the stadium select screen, which sometimes scares people off because they think if you have all the stadiums, you must have a scary good team, which may not be the case. This all seems like nitpicking perhaps, but again, these are issues that cause friction on the path to trying to get games in, and a big reason why Diamond Dynasty succeeds is by removing a lot of those roadblocks and distractions. The next thing I want to talk about here are the community challenges. I'm sorry if I'm ruining people's fun by saying this, but things like the Triple Play Challenge are not great for Diamond Dynasty. People play the community challenges because it's the fastest way to get the maximum amount of cards after a session, and because it provides the most stubs in the quickest fashion outside of playing the marketplace. But it is a mindless endeavor. And I know people like to game every system because we've always been taught you play games by beating them. But stuff like the Triple Play Challenge is purely about grinding through the same thing over and over to hopefully get a delicious carrot at the end. Regardless, I think Diamond Dynasty is already the most fair fantasy team mode around. I've never felt I had to put $1 into the mode out of necessity, and things like the Triple Play Challenge only exist to further game the system for rewards. I'm not against earning a universal amount of stubs outside Diamond Dynasty, but if anything, it seems like it might make sense to at least put a limit on how often you can play these challenges for rewards, because I think more than anything, people grinding through these challenges over and over again just ends up throwing off the marketplace and creating more overpowered teams on the field. And speaking of overpowered teams, I think it would be great if there was an option for another type of roster building style within Diamond Dynasty. I know adding more game types to Diamond Dynasty flies in the face of what the mode is about, that is simplicity and straightforwardness, but stay with me here. Now, it's not wrong to say there's no true salary cap in Major League Baseball, but because of the luxury tax and what teams can afford to spend, if you're not named the Dodgers or Yankees, you're generally not approaching a $200 million and beyond payroll. However, the teams you see in Diamond Dynasty are, by and large, all teams that would cost every penny an owner has, and more, to finance on a year-to-year basis. But really what this comes down to are 2 schools of thought. The first is that this mode is an arms race, so everybody's just racing to get the biggest and baddest players for their team. After all, you're out there trying to win, and the best players should in theory be the most fun to use. And that's fine. If people want to only use the Miguel Cabreras and Trouts and Mike Schmidts of the world, that's perfectly understandable. However, the other school of thought is that team building should actually be part of the appeal. Creating a team that actually fits under some sort of virtual salary cap of sorts could be fun. Now, this could be done via a FanDuel style where you have a certain amount of points for your team and you have to fit 25 players on your roster that cost X number of points. The bonus here is that Diamond Dynasty players are updated every week anyway, so these player values could change much like they do on FanDuel. The other option is to go with something closer to All-Pro Football 2K8, as folks did seem to enjoy making a team using that tiered system. All Pro didn't have a ton of players, but because you could only have a certain number of golds and silvers and so on, you still noticed lots of different teams that had different styles. In a lot of ways, it's already a good comparison for Diamond Dynasty because there are also gold, silver, bronze, and common players in Sony's game. The point is that in All Pro you could build a type of team rather than just a juggernaut, and the same could be fun in Diamond Dynasty. And another reason I say it could be fun is because right now you just see a lot of the same players in Diamond Dynasty. I actually like that the show doesn't introduce multiple versions of the same player throughout the season because it lessens confusion and keeps the marketplace buzzing, but it feels like it's mostly the same 50 to 100 players that are used in games rather than seeing a nice mix of the 800 plus players that exist in the mode right now. In other words, I get bored seeing the same players more than I get frustrated seeing the same stacked teams. The last thing I want to talk about here are the created players. I think it's sort of strange your created player can be a 99 in everything and play every position, but at the end of the day, whatever. I'm a simulation weirdo, so I get that it's just not for me. The big issue I see crop up from time to time is people using their created player as a reliever. This is maybe a gameplay issue more than a created player issue, but there's not a big enough focus on reliever stamina. The stamina does not run out as quickly as it should, and once your reliever is tired, there's still not really a huge concern when your created player is a 99 across the board. Alright, so there you have it. Those are some changes I'd love to see made to Diamond Dynasty moving forward. Feel free to list off your own wishes for the future, or just tell me what a clown I am for wanting these things in the first place. You know, if you want to, that is.